maybe he's off to the doctor.
Oh no, I'm quite well, although I had a bad headache yesterday. Matthew's going to Bright River. We're getting a little boy from the orphan asylum in Nova Scotia, and he's coming in on the train this afternoon.
Are you in earnest, Marilla?
Yes, of course.
What on earth put such a notion in your head?
Well, we've been thinking about it for some time. All winter, in fact. Mrs. Alexander Spencer was here the day before Christmas and said she was going to get a little girl from the asylum over in Hopetown in the spring. Her cousin has visited her, and Mrs. Spencer knows all about it. So Matthew and I talked it over off and on ever since. We thought we'd get a boy. Matthew's getting on in his years now, and there's no surprise he once was. Sarge helps him a good deal, and you know how desperate hard it is to find higher talent. So in the end, we decided to ask Mrs. Spencer to pick us out a likely lad when she went to get her little girl. We heard last week she was going, so we sent word by Richard Spencer's folks in Carmead to pick us out a smart and sensible boy, about 10 or 11 years old. We thought that would be best. Old enough to help with the chores, but young enough to be trained up proper.
Well, I'd never.
So we got a telegram from Mrs. Spencer saying they were coming in on the 5:30 train tonight, so Matthew went to Bright River to meet him.
Well, Marilla, I'll just tell you plain that you're doing a mighty foolish thing. A risky thing, that's what. You don't know what you're getting. Bringing a stranger into your house. You don't know a single thing about him or his people, nor disposition at that. Why, it was only last week when I read in the paper how a man and his wife up west of the island took a child out of the orphan asylum and little demons had to fire their house one night. Set it on purpose, and those unfortunate souls were nearly burnt to a crisp in their beds. So, if you had asked for my advice, which you didn't, I would have said, for mercy's sake, don't even think about such a thing. So don't say I didn't warn you. If Green Gables is burnt to its foundation, or if he puts poison in the well. I've heard in a case in New Brunswick where an orphan asylum child did that, and the whole family died in fearful agony. It was only a girl in that instance.
Well, no worry of that. I would never dream of taking a girl to bring up.
I suppose you Mr. Matthew Cuthbert of Green Gables. Mrs. Spencer said you'd come in and told me to wait for you. I'm very glad you've come for me. Although I was beginning to be afraid that you weren't going to come for me tonight. I made up my mind that if you didn't come for me tonight, that I'd go down to the bend to that big wild cherry tree and climb up into it and stare at night. I wouldn't be the least bit afraid. In fact, it would be lovely to sleep in a wild cherry tree. Oh, what bloom in the moonshine. You can imagine me dwelling in the halls. I was quite sure you'd come for me in the morning if you didn't come for me tonight.
You came with Mrs. Spencer?
All the way from Hopetown. I wasn't even the least bit sick, and the boat was out of Island. Although Mrs. Spencerton was really a shade of green.
You're the orphan from the asylum.
You might say that I'm from the asylum, but I've really only been there 4 months. You can't classify the standards like. The asylum people try to be nice folk, but there's so little scope for imagination in the asylum.
Well, I can't leave you here, so you better come along with me. Marilla will be able to sort all this out. The horse is tethered out front. Let me carry your bag.
Oh, I can carry it. It isn't heavy. I've got all my really goods in it, but it isn't heavy. But if it isn't turned a certain way, the handle pulls out. So I better keep it because I know the exact knack of it.
Fine.
I'm awfully glad you're going to let me stay with you and be with you and live with you. Although people are something I talk too much. I can stop if I like to, although it is difficult.
Oh, you can talk as much as you like. I don't mind.
Mrs. Spencer said that my tongue's be hung in the middle. It isn't. It's fully fastened at one end.
Matthew Cuthbert. Who is that? Where's the boy?
There wasn't any boy. There was only her.
Well, we sent word to Mrs. Spencer to bring a boy.
She didn't. She brought her. I had to bring her home. She couldn't be left at the station, no matter where the mistake had come in.
Well, this is a pretty piece of business.
You don't want me. You don't want me because I'm not a boy. Because I'm a plain skinny girl with hair of most disastrous thread. Oh, I might have known that it was so beautiful last. What shall I do? I think I'm worse than the tears.
There's no need to cry about it.
Yes, there is need. And you quite too if you're an orphan. And you had to come to a place I thought was going to be a home. Just to find out I didn't want you because you were a boy. Oh, this most tragic thing that's what happened to me.
There's no need to cry about it anymore. We're not going to turn you out of doors tonight. You have to stay until we investigate this affair. What's your name, child?
Will you please call me Cordelia?
Call you Cordelia. Is that your name?
No, it's not exactly my name. Oh, but I would love to be called Cordelia. It's such a perfectly elegant name.
Nonsense. If your name isn't Cordelia, what is it then?
Anne Shirley. But if I'm not going to be rhyming along, how can I matter what you call me?
Fiddlesticks. Anne is a good, honest, sensible name.
Very well. But if you call me Anne, please call me Anne, spelled with an E.
What difference does it make how it's spelled?
It makes such a difference. It looks so much nicer. Anne, with an E, looks so much more distinguished. But Anne without an E looks absolutely dreadful. If you only call me Anne, spelled with an E that is, then I shall try to reconcile myself to not being called Cordelia.
Very well then, Anne with an E. It's clear we're going to need to see Mrs. Spencer to get this matter cleared up.
If I'm very beautiful with raven hair, would you keep me?
No. We want a boy to help Matthew at the farm. Take off your hat. You must be hungry. Would you like some dinner?
I can't. I'm in the depths of despair. Can you eat when you're in the depths of despair?
Can't say that I haven't been there.
I guess the girl is tired from her trip. Best to put her to bed. Don't you think, Marilla?
I suppose. Your room's at the top of the stairs in the east gable. Good night.
But you know, tomorrow is my last day in Gables. How can you call it good night when you know it must be the very worst night I've ever had?
This is a pretty kettle of fish.
Well, now, she's a real nice little thing. Seems a pity to send her back when she's got her heart set on staying here and all.
Matthew Cuthbert, you were not suggesting that we keep her.
Well, now, no, not exactly. I suppose, not exactly.
I should say not. What use would she be to us?
We might be of some use to her.
No sense in trying to deny it. I can see it plain as plain. You want to keep her.
She's an interesting child. You should have heard her talk on the drive back.
Oh, she can talk all right. No doubt about that. But even if I wanted an orphan girl, she's not the style I'd pick out.
I could hire a boy to help with the chores, and she'd be good company for you.
I'm not lacking for company, thank you very much, and I'm not going to keep her. Tomorrow, she goes.
Well, I certainly must say you two were the last two folks I was expecting to see today, but I'm really glad you're here. You will be staying for tea, won't you, after coming such a long way?
I suppose to stay a little while, to rest the mare.
And how are you today, Anne?
I'm as best to be expected, thank you.
Well then, I'll go get the tea. I'll just be a moment. I made some of my special cardamom cake, Marilla. Shall I slice some for the tea?
That would be just fine.
Good then, if you'll excuse me. You two just make yourselves at home.
You'll enjoy the cake. Mrs. Spencer is one of the best bakers on the island.
I'm quite told she's a wonderful woman. Oh, hair is such an attractive golden color. Did you ever know his hair was red when she was young, but got to be another color when grown up?
No, I don't know that I did. I shouldn't think it likely to happen in your case either.
Well, that's another hope gone. My life is but a perfect graveyard of fairy hopes. I read that sentence in a book once, and I say to comfort myself whenever I'm disappointed or anything.
Can't see where the comforting comes in myself.
Why? Because it sounds so nice and romantic. Just as far as hero in a novel, I find my life so much easier to tell. If I could just imagine that I'm a hero in a novel.
Since so far I've been talking, why don't you talk some purpose by telling me what you know about yourself?
What I know about myself isn't really worth telling. If you only let me tell you what I imagine of myself, you think it ever so much more interesting.
None of your imaginings, just stick to the bald facts.
If I must. My father and mother were teachers. Boys were children from my blood, I was so in love. I was born to these lovely people. Mrs. Thomas, a neighbor, said I was the scrawniest, loneliest baby she'd ever seen. But my mother said I would be a great beauty.
I'd imagine.
My mother died when I was only 3 months old, and father passed on 4 days later. I'm sure it's because he could not bear to part from his one true love, and not because he meant to leave me alone in the world. Anyway, no one came to take me in until Mrs. Thomas said she could take me. I lived with her until I was 8 and helped take care of her children. You see, Mrs. Thomas had 4 children younger than me. When Mrs. Thomas was killed, Mrs. Thomas gave the children up, and she went to live with her sisters. she wouldn't take me. But then, Mrs. Hammond from Upper Whipple came down and said she could use little Sammy's babies. You see, Mrs. Hammond had 8 children, twins 3 times. Now, I like babies in moderation, but 3 sets of twins?
Does seem kind of extreme. Were the Hammonds good to you?
They meant to be nice people, the Hammonds, but Mr. Hammond treated a great deal, and Mrs. Hammond's temple is short with that many babies and all. I'm sure they would like to have been.
I see.
When Mr. Hammond was killed in a mail accident, Mrs. Hammond gave the children up to relatives. They wouldn't take me, and she set off to the States. They almost wouldn't take me to the asylum, but they had to, seeing as there's nowhere else for me to go. But then, Mrs. Spencer came to bring me to you at Green Gables. Oh, you must love it so.
I do. We do. My brother and I have lived there since we were born.
There, that didn't take too long. Now, Marilla, what did you want to discuss?
The fact is, Mrs. Spencer, there's been a mistake made, and I've come over to see where. Matthew and I sent word to you that we wanted a boy.
Marilla, you don't say so. I got word from my cousin through his daughter that it was to be a girl.
No, unfortunately. A boy about 10 or 11 years old.
I'm so sorry. I did the best I could, and I thought I was following your instructions.
I should have spoken to you directly, so it much fault. I suppose the son will take her back, won't they?
I suppose, but that might not be necessary. Mrs. Blewett was up here the other day, and when she heard about the girl I'd brought back for you, she said what a smart idea it was, and how she could use a girl to help her with the work around the house. She has that large family, you know, and the children quarrel, so I call this a wonderful stroke of luck.
I suppose, but
And more good fortune. She's coming up the walk now. Come in, Mrs. Blewett.
Says I can take on a girl as long as she's civil and won't eat much. So,
How wonderful. You see, there's been a mistake. The Cuthberts actually wanted a boy, so this girl might be just the thing for you.
what's your name and how old are you?
And Shirley, and I'm 12.
There doesn't seem like there's much to you, but you're wiry. The wiry ones are the best. Work the hardest and eat the least. Well, if I take you on, you have to be good and smart and respectful, especially respectful. Mr. Blewett keeps a special shop for young ones who need to learn a little respect. Yes, I'll expect you'll earn your keep and make no mistake about that. Right then, I'll be glad to take her off your hands, Mr. Cuthbert. The baby's been awfully colicky lately, and it'll be a pleasure to sleep through the night and have someone else tend to him. If you would like, I can take her off your hands right now.
well, I don't know. I didn't absolutely say that we decided that we wouldn't keep her. I just came over to see whether the mistake had been made. I better take her home again and talk it over with my brother. I oughtn't decide anything without consulting him. If we decide not to keep her, Mrs. Blewett, I can simply bring her by tomorrow. Will that suit you?
I suppose it will have to.
Come along, Anne.
Marilla, does this mean?
Hush your mouth, child, and come along.
But Marilla, oh well. Would you care for some tea, Mrs. Blewett?
Where's the girl?
Down in the garden. Said she wanted to hold the vision of the garden at sunset, in case she has to leave you in the morning. She won't have to, will she?
It's foolishness, Matthew. Plain and simple foolishness, and you know it. What that child can talk an ear off a stalk of corn, and her fantasies. Did you know she's given names to all the flowers, Bonnie and the Snow Queen and the like? I just don't know.
You know how I feel. She's an interesting one, that's for sure.
I went into town today. One of the Blewett children made fun of my hat. It was dreadful. It was a good duck, too.
Have you been with Charles yet?
I've been trying to get to it, but there's so much time with all the... Sorry. I'm so stressed out because Anne came in and all my life has been busy right now, so...
How am I for bed now? Oh, it's glorifying sending the albums.
Aren't you going to say your prayers, child?
I've never done that before. What should I say?
You'll know to pray for yourself now, Anne. Just give thanks for your blessings and humbly ask for the things you want. just fine, Anne, and I'm sure you took note of every word. We can't get through our life without our fair share of trouble. I've had a pretty easy life so far, but it's clear my time has come at last, and I just have to make the best of it. You have to home with us here at Green Gables. That is, if you can prove yourself a good and grateful girl and—
Oh, I will, Miss Cuthbert, I will!
Plain Marilla will do just fine.
But this exceeds even my greatest expectations.
Excuse me.
I'm sure you wouldn't be as sure as I do, but I'd have to say that next to the day I came to Green Gables, it was an heaven's splendor day in my life.
Green Gables? Oh, you must be Anne Shirley. My mother heard all about you from Marilla. I'm Diana Bear. We live near the pond at the farm next to yours. I'm so glad you're here.
You are?
Oh yes, there are no other girls near my age in class except for Josie Pye, and she's a horrid tattle. I'd rather be alone than spend time with her.
This is Joyce. I've never had a great friend before. I've never suffered, but a true life companion is too great to conceive. Do you think you could like me a little enough to be my true bosom friend?
Why, I guess so. My sisters aren't old enough for me to play with, and you live so close by.
Will you sure be my friend forever and ever?
My mother says a lady never swears.
Oh no, not that kind. There are two kinds, you know.
I've never heard of but one kind, and the minister says that doing it will send you straight to—
No, I would never do a thing like that. My kind means vowing eternally, insulting promising.
Oh, I can do that. How do you do it?
With strong hands so. It ought to be a warning bottle, but we'll just imagine that this path is a book. I'll read the oath first. I solemnly swear to my bosom friend, Diana Barry, for as long as the sun and the moon shall endure. Now you say, and put my name in.
Very well. I solemnly swear to be faithful to my bosom friend, Anne Shirley, for as long as the sun and the moon shall endure. You're an odd girl, Anne. I'd heard that about you. Still, I believe I'm going to like you real well.
Will you look at the hair on that one? It looks like she's got two long carrots hanging out from under her hat.
Give it back, Gilbert. That's Anne's.
So that's her name. Look, I'm Anne. You could study all the multiplication tables by the freckles on my face and still have dots left over.
Gilbert. Here, don't mind Gilbert, Anne. He teases the girls something terrible. Just torments our lives. But he's awfully handsome. I should tell you, though, you're going to have to sit with him in class. His is the only desk with one person at it. Julia Bell sits by me, but she's been out this week with the chicken pox.
Don't worry, Diana. I can endure it. I'll simply pretend I'm a solitary prisoner in a tower. A tall tower. I will be able to see the thick wall between us.
You're wonderful, Anne.
What's the matter, carrots? Don't like candy?
And you won't like all my friends excruciatingly, Diana. Who is sufficient that a lady be clothed with red hair without a judgment making an issue out of it. Willa! Oh, I'm the happiest girl on the whole of Prince Edward Island at this very moment. Oh, I was met a true and kindred spirit, unlabeled, Diana Barry,
And this is Mrs. Rachel Lynn.
and there's going to be a picnic in a few weeks. With boating on the pond, we'll also swing baskets. You will help me with mine, won't you? Because I never have enough cooking to cook.
My. She certainly can chatter on right now. Let me have a look at you. Wow, they certainly didn't pick you for your looks. That's sure and certain. She's terribly skinny and hungry, Marilla. And those freckles. Awful hard. Did you ever see such freckles? And that hair, red as carrots. Come here, child, I say.
I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! How dare you call me skinny and red-headed? How dare you call me freckled and ugly? You are a rude, impolite, unfeeling woman.
Anne!
How would you like if such things were said about you? How would you like it to have been told that you're fat and ugly and
brow bringing up, that is, Marilla.
Should have twitted about her looks, Rachel.
You don't mean to say that you're defending that terrible display of temper we just saw?
No, I'm not excusing her. She's been very uncivil, and I'll have to give her a good talking to about it. But you were too hard on her.
Well, I see that I have to be more careful what I say after this, since the feelings of orphans brought from goodness knows where have to be considered above everything else. If it were me, I'd give her talking to with a 2-foot bird switch. Her hair matches her temper. I'll be taking my leave right now.
Please don't go yet, Rachel. Give me a minute to talk with her. I'm sure she'll realize the error of her ways.
I'll sit for a minute out of respect for our friendship, Marilla, but I don't expect you to change the spots in that hellcat with a few well-thought words.
And get off that bed this minute and listen to what I have to say to you. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?
She had no right to call me skinny and red-headed.
You say it often enough yourself.
Oh, but there's a difference between saying something yourself and hearing other people say it.
Well, you made a fine exhibition of yourself, that's for sure. And knowing Rachel Lynde, it'll be all over town by evening.
I couldn't help it. Something just rose up in me and my temper got the better of me.
And now it's time to go down and swallow some crumb. You must apologize.
But what she said was mean and hurtful.
No, I'm not saying Mrs. Lynde was exactly right in saying what she did to you. She can be a tad outspoken herself, but she's a guest in her home and your elder, and she must be shown respect. She's due an apology.
Oh, Marilla, must I really?
Absolutely.
Oh, Mrs. Lynde, I am so extremely sorry. I have disgraced my dear friends Matthew and Marilla, who've let me stay at Gables, even though I'm not a boy. I'm a dreadful, wicked ghoul, who must be cast out by respectful people forever. Yes, it is true. My hair is red. I am freckled, but what I said to you is true too, but I shouldn't have said it. Oh, Mrs. Lynde, please forgive me. If your feelings are infect a lifelong soul kind of poor child, you can't do that to a poor girl, even if she had a table temple. Please, Mrs. Lynde, please say you'll forgive me.
There, get up, child. Of course I forgive you.
Oh, bless you, Mrs. Lynde. I go play with Diana now.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
She's an odd little thing, Marilla. I must say, there's some kind of taking her. Speaks her mind, though, but then, so do I guess. On the whole, Marilla, I believe I like the girl.
Why, thank you, Rachel.
I'd love it now if you'd come over to my house and try the new preserves I just put up.
That's very generous of you, Rachel.
Oh, Marilla, I hope it's agreeable with you that I passed Diana to see this afternoon. After all, we have been true bosom friends now for more than a year, and it just invites us lovely. I'll get everything ready, and there won't be any bother. Please.
Tea? Well, yes. I suppose that is fitting. You are growing up after all.
Oh, thank you. I'll start to get everything ready right now.
And I have to run an errand now, so for your tea with Mrs. Lynde, you can open up the little yellow crock of cherry preserves, cut up some fruit square, and have some of those cookies I made last evening.
Of course, Marilla.
And there's half a bottle of raspberry cordial left over from the church social. You may have a little of that. It's in the crockery pitcher next to the glass decanter of currant wine. For heaven's sake, see that you don't get them mixed up. I don't want you getting all liquored up now.
Flash your pen. Yes, Marilla.
Good afternoon, Diana, and setting up.
Thank you, Miss Cuthbert. My mother sends her regards and says she hopes she'll see you when she comes by later to pick me up.
Send her my best if we miss each other.
Good afternoon, Miss Shirley.
Good afternoon to you, Miss Barry. Welcome. May I have some tea?
Why, yes, that would be delightful. This all looks wonderful, Anne.
I wanted everything to be put with my shoe bosom friend. Molly even said we could have some. Oh my goodness, I forgot the cordial. Marilla makes a wonderful cordial. Like a fruit punch, but ever so much sweeter. May I pour you some?
With my sweet tooth, need you ask?
Drink your fill, then.
Diana, what have you made? I couldn't put it down. I wish I could be Lady Margaret.
Exactly. I knew we can own slaves would understand. That's exactly what happened. More Wardle?
Yes, please. It's just delicious.
So, later that day, I went to checkmate, and I discovered, to my extreme horror, that Mouse had drowned in it. So, I lifted his body out with a spoon, and then washed the spoon fully 5 times. Now, I meant to tell Marilla, but she was out milking, and then I got involved doing the frost fairy, turning the trees red and yellow. But then, later, when the minister was over for lunch, Marilla came out with the plum pudding in one hand and the warmed-up pitcher of warmed-up plum pudding sauce in the other. Oh, Diana, that was a horrible moment.
Oh, man, I can just imagine.
But then, the minister, oh, I cannot believe my eyes when I saw this. He raised the fork to his mouth, and I leapt up in my place and shrieked, "Ah! You must mean that! A mouse drowned in the pudding sauce!"
Oh, Anne, I don't think I feel very well. The room is starting to spin. I think I'd better go home.
But you haven't tried your tea yet.
The chair is spinning. Is my chair spinning? I think the chair is spinning.
Oh, Diana, do you suppose you've got smallpox? If you have, I'll gladly nurse you back to health.
The floor tipping? Why is the floor tipping? I need to go home now.
Oh, no.
And I got her twist of dress. Girls,
Afternoon, Mother.
Diana Barry, Liquor, and Shirley, you're responsible for this. I thought all along that you were a thoroughly bad, wicked girl, and I shall never permit my daughter to play with you again.
But
Come along, Diana.
oh, Marilla, I've made a mess out of everything.
I must say, I never would have believed it. If you told me 3 months ago that the 2 biggest chatterboxes in the school would fall silent, I would have laughed out loud. Let's see, that's 12 weeks of my not having to listen to you 2 go. 90 days of blissful silence, unbroken by schoolgirl gossip. And if I broke it down to hours,
Gilbert Blythe, you are a heartless creature with no understanding of true friendship. Now, even though both Marilla and I tried to make amends with Mrs. Barry, she was relentless. And now Diana and I might not ever talk to each other or be together or play together.
remind me to thank Mrs. Barry for my peace and quiet.
Gilbert, it's as useless to explain all of this to you as it is to explain poetry to a pig. My dearest Anne, I must awfully tell you my secrets in the times we shared. I made you a red tissue paper bookmark. When you look at it, remember me. My own Diana, I shall keep your lovely present forever as a token of the friendship that we have lost but shall, I hope, find again. I've been playing with Sally Andrews, but she has silent imagination. And after being your bosom friend, I really can't be hers. Please excuse any mistakes in my spelling. Yours until death do us part, and for Cordelia, Short.
Good morning, class. I've placed assignments on the board for today. Those of you in the upper levels will work on your decimals. Lower levels, please take up your primers and read. Our group preparing for the Queen's College examination will run their Latin declensions. Before we all begin, I have an announcement to make. The school board has decided to hold a benefit concert to raise money for the repairs on the schoolhouse roof, which we so desperately need. Our girls' choir will perform, and they have asked me to select a pupil to recite. I have selected Anne Shirley.
Miss Stacy, do you honor me?
Imagine people paying to hear Aunt Shirley talk.
Just think of it. The girls' crowd are going to be performing patriotic songs, such as the tablet, Faith, Hope, and Charity. I would have liked to have been in that one. Then it's going to be charity. You should think about performing, Lola. After all, it is for a good cause.
Now that would be a sight, me dancing around with flowers in my hair.
I'd pay to see it.
No doubt the whole town would pay to see it.
I was thinking, Marilla, as I have to get up in front of the whole of Avonlea, with all of them looking at me, I was wondering if, perhaps, I might have a new dress. One with puffed sleeves. Oh, please, they're ever so fashionable now. Give me such a thrill.
Well, you have to do without yours, bro. I haven't any material off puff sleeves. I think they're ridiculous looking things anyhow.
I'd rather look ridiculous with everyone else than look plain and sensible all by myself.
Dresses you have now are serviceable frocks with plenty of wear left in them. Perhaps you can get a new set of parrots to brighten up the outfit.
Whatever you wish, Marilla.
She's right, you know.
Matthew Cuthbert, when we agreed to taking that child, we decided that I would be in charge of her upbringing. And I don't think I've done badly so far, and I can certainly do without your interference.
But she doesn't look like the other girls. I've seen her walking home with the others, and it seems to me that their dresses are all bright and cheery. Anne's look so plain and sober. Surely there can be no harm in one fashionable dress.
It'll only contribute to her vanity, Matthew.
Just one dress.
Anne's dresses are fine.
What can I do for you, Mr. Cuthbert?
Well, I'd like, have you well now, say, gardening rakes?
In the middle of February?
Yes.
I believe I may have one or two left over, but they're upstairs in the lumber room. I'll go and see.
Evening, ma'am.
It took some looking, but I found one. Let's see now. That's one gardening rake. Will there be anything else?
Well now, since you suggested, I might as well buy some hayseed.
I'm afraid we only keep hayseed in the spring. We've none on hand just now.
Oh, certainly, of course, just as you say.
Will that be all then?
No, I'd like to buy, I need some sugar.
White or brown?
I don't know. Marilla usually takes care of a lot.
What's she baking? A cake?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Preserves? Bread? Cookies?
cookies. No, you see,
Did you try those cookies of Marilla's at the tea social last weekend? She said she cut almost a pound of butter into them.
Weren't they wonderful? I ate way too many. They were light as air.
I asked her for the recipe, but she wouldn't let it out. You know Marilla keeps the recipes tight to her.
Well, if it's cookies she's making, she'll need brown sugar. How many pounds then?
a dress.
Excuse me?
It's the dress over there that I want. I wanted to buy a dress for Anne with puff sleeves.
Well, of course that's what you wanted. That dress will look lovely on your Anne. It'll be very flattering with her bright hair. I'll get it down and wrap it up for you.
I'd be much obliged if you would. And, Miss Harris, I don't believe I'll be needing this rake.
Geometry's casting a dark cloud over my whole academic life.
Miss Stacy was saying the other day that you're making rapid progress. Rapid progress were her very words.
Back at Cuthbert, if you don't hurry and harness that mare, we're going to miss the whole entire meeting. It's not every day that the premier comes to Prince Edward Island.
Can't say I understand what all the fuss is about. You'd think the king himself was coming the way the folks around here are talking about it. Surely, the whole of Avonlea will be in Carmichael tonight.
All except us if we don't hurry. I promised Rachel Lynn that we'd take her, and you know how she fusses if she's late. I left her dinner warming in the oven, and I went light out soon after. No reading in bed till all hours, because I'm not here to say no.
Yes, Marilla, but do have a good time. And please try to pull every bit of detail, because I want to do everything in the morning.
I'm sure you will. Come, Matthew.
Good night, Anne.
Good night. The jealous rival. Geraldine Seymour was a regal brunette with a coronet of duskly flashing hair and eyes. Her best friend Miranda was a queenly blonde with hair spun like gold and velvety purple eyes beneath an outlash glow. The two grew in beauty side by side until they were 16, the year that Bertram DeVere came to the peaceful little village. Did you forget your pipe again?
I haven't quite taken smoking a pipe yet.
Gables.
Miss Stacy asked me to rewrite the geometry text once I finished with it.
And of course you finished it, while I'm still muddling along. Thank you, Gilbert, for my nickname.
Could you use some help? I'd be glad to stay.
No, I don't need any help from you, Gilbert Blythe. You're just learning it because you had a name on the board today from the highest marks in math. Well, let me tell you. Dana, whatever's the matter? Has your mother wants that last?
Oh, Anne, do come quick. My little sister, Minnie May, is awfully sick. She's got croup. The poor thing can hardly breathe. Mother and father are away at Carmichael for the meeting, and there's nobody to go for the doctor. I don't know what to do. Oh, Anne, I'm so scared.
I'll take my horse and get the doctor from Carmody.
No, go straight to Carmichael. He's sure to be there with everyone else in town hall.
We need to get back to her. Please come with me.
Don't worry, Dana. Don't cry. You forget that Mrs. Hammond had 8 children. When you look after 3 sets of twins, you're naturally getting a lot of experience, seeing as they all had poop regularly. Now, let me just get the Alexa. You might not have me at your house. Now, roll up tomorrow. That should have been the first thing you did. I'll go check on Minnie May. It's Cluboid. She's got it pretty bad, but I've seen worse. I'm gonna give her a good dose of the Epipeck Alexa to try to bring some fun.
Oh, Anne, I pray to God this will work.
My baby, where is she?
Sleeping soundly now in the bedroom. I was very near giving up in despair, and I thought to myself, I didn't say this to you, Diana, for you were worried enough. But I thought, this is the last living hope, and I feel it is a vain one. But then, within minutes, she was sitting comfortably and coughing up all the phlegm.
Anne knew everything to do.
Dr. Blair should be here at any moment. He was right behind us. But it looks like he got the situation well in hand.
You managed just fine then.
She was sleeping, but she woke up and told me everything. Oh, Anne, what can I say to you? You saved my baby. I'm so very ashamed for the way I've treated you. I know now that I could have never meant to get my Diana drunk. Please forgive me. There is no way I can thank you enough.
Well, thanks should really go to Mrs. Hammond and her ability to produce all of those twins.
Elaine, Anne, I would never have the courage to do it.
Well, that's something Elaine must have. I imagine she's lost her Lancelot forever, who one she loved. So, she goes into a bouch, kills herself, and allows her body to float down to Camelot.
It might be romantic, but I know I can never lie still. I'd keep popping up every few seconds to check where I was and to see if I hadn't drifted too far out. No, if anyone is going to portray the dead Elaine, It should be you.
Well, it's quite silly to have to run to the lane, but better than a fidget, I guess.
You know, Anne, I don't believe your hair is quite as red now as it once was. It can almost pass for auburn in some lights.
Thank you. Now, you must pretend to be my faithful friend and companion and lower me down into the boat.
I brought my mother's black shawl as you asked.
Thank you. Now, cover with the shawl. Should I cross my arms or...
Cross looks much more dead.
Fine, crossed it is. Now, fish off and march from the shore. Do you remember your pouch?
Of course. Farewell, my lady. Oh, Anne, you look wonderful.
I feel so wonderful. I feel so noble. I feel so sentimental. I feel so wet. Wet? Oh, Diana, the boat's from the fog's leak. Help, I can't swim.
You said you wanted to float. You didn't say you wanted to swim, so I left the oars back in the barn.
The barn? No, Diana, help.
I can't swim. My mother never let me. She said it caused influenza. Oh, Anne, what shall I do? I've killed my best friend.
Run for Matthew. He's sure to be in the little patch store.
Oh, Anne, I don't want to leave you.
Hurry, before it's too late.
Help, help. Anne is drowning. Almost. Help, Matthew.
Oh, they never had this problem. There's a high price we pay for drama, that's for sure. What if I drown? What if Diana faints on the way to Matthew? What if the horse supposed to show her the way there?
Good afternoon, Aunt Shirley.
Gilbert,
Pleasant day we're having, don't you think?
unseasonably warm for this time of year, I have to say.
Would you like to tell me what happened?
If you must know, Diana and I are knocking out a poem. I was supposed to be the fair lady Lane, drifting out to sea in my warrior barge. But my boat sprung a large leak and I can't swim.
Can I offer my help?
Diana went for Matthew.
Fine then.
But she has been going along for a long time. So if you wouldn't mind.
Certainly.
I'm awfully obliged to you, Gilbert.
Look here, can't we just be friends? I'm awfully sorry I made fun of your hair that time. I didn't mean to vex you, I only said it as a joke. It was all so long ago. Besides, I think your hair is awfully pretty now. Honestly, I do. Can't we be friends?
No, I shall never be friends with you, Gilbert Blythe. And I don't think I ever want to be.
All right, all right. I shall never again ask you to be friends, Aunt Shirley, and I don't care either.
I told you, child, that she wouldn't be dead.
Oh,
You don't
Anne.
need to worry so.
I thought you drowned, and I felt like a murderer because I made you portray Lane. How did you ever escape such a watery grave?
Gilbert Blythe came along on his boat and helped me onto these pillars.
How splendidly romantic. Of course, you're going to have to speak with him after this.
Of course I won't. And I was thinking not to use the word romantic, especially when talking about Gilbert Blythe.
Well, romance isn't that easy to control. It's kind of like the water in the boat. A tiny opening and then suddenly you're in over your head.
I'd sooner drown in the base pond than soon over Gilbert Blythe.
Suit yourself. We should have gone, you know.
I had no intention of braving the crowds at the White Sands Hotel to hear Josie Pye play the violin one more time. I swear that child only knows 3 songs that plays each of them equally bad.
Still, it would have been nice to hear Anna's recitation. I told you the whole crowd was sure to call for an encore.
How do you go on with her? She'll end up in vain as one of those silly city girls who stay at the White Sands Hotel each summer, all white lace and bad manners. Speaking of which, that dress, Matthew Cuthbert, you shouldn't have.
Maybe not, but I did, and she sure looked excited. So pretty.
I'm sure she managed to get it all mussied up riding over there in the dust and the dew. There's no use in saying anything to you when you get your mind set on something, is there? You didn't ask my opinion before you bought the dress, so I can't see you listening to it now.
She looked lovely, didn't she, though?
I suppose.
Is she back in? Oh, Marilla and Matthew. It was wonderful. Anne was triumphant. She stopped the whole show.
I knew it.
The whole audience raised in an encore at the end.
Where is she?
Miss Stacy is giving her a ride back in her carriage.
That intro was fun tonight. I'm so disappointed. Why? There wasn't another on the program to top her. I always said she was a remarkable child.
So you did, Rachel. Would you care for some tea?
I'd like that.
Diana, won't you join us too?
That would be delightful.
Would...
Oh, Matthew, Marilla, has forever been such a night. There's a professional actor staying at the White Sands, and she performed first. She was amazing, but I knew I could never hold deeper hold. So I just sat with my head in my hands. But then they called my name, and
She was remarkable. You should be very proud.
We are. Could you do it once more, Anne? I'd like to hear it for myself.
I'd be glad to, Matthew. Though life may be unfair to me and hard along the way, though troubles may be many and skies above me gray, I do not fret and worry. This matters not to me, for I shall find warm comfort with my friends and family. I do not seek great riches, for fortunes can be lost. I do not need possessions that come at pressing cost. There's only one thing that I wish on earth or up above, to be worthy of the people who have given me their love.
You are a wonder, Aunt Shirley, a wonder.
Time enough for that later. This calls for a celebration. Curt wine for the adults and cherry cordial for the girls. All pour.
Oh, I forgot my book in Miss Stacy's carriage. I'll do it back.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Good evening, Gilbert.
Hi, Ann. I just stopped by. My folks are expecting me. I wanted to tell you, well, I saw your presentation, and you sure look awfully pretty tonight.
Thank you, Gilbert.
Okay, I wanted to tell you, I needed to say, are we ever going to be friends? Can you forgive me?
I believe I forgave that at the time, although I didn't know it. Oh, what a silly stubborn goose I've been. Of course you can be friends, Gilbert.
We're going to be the best of friends. We were born to be the best of friends, you know. Can I walk you to school tomorrow?
Yes, you may.
Good evening, Gilbert.
It's a great evening, Miss Cuthbert.
Come along, Anne. All your fans are waiting.
I do declare, Marilla, my recitation has made even you cry.
I wasn't crying over your poem. I was thinking about the little girl you used to be, Anne. I wish you would have stayed a little girl, even with your wild ways. You look so grown-up, stylish, and altogether different in that dress, as if you didn't belong in Avonlea at all. I just kind of got sad with thinking what my life would have been like without you.
Oh, Willa, I haven't changed a bit. Not really. I'm only trimmed down fringe darkness. The real me inside is still the same. And I shall love you, and Matthew, and Duke and Gables, more and better each and every day of my life.
Well, I guess she ain't been too much spoiled.
Anne, you're the dearest mistake that's ever come into my life, and I don't know how I can love you more. Now, come along, girl. Where are your manners? We have company waiting.